Today's story is about OP, who's suffering from a mental disorder, and well, somebody moves into his house and actually makes him go crazy. This story is wild, guys. I do have two stories to share with you, but let's go ahead and jump into today's main highlighted story. Okay, I know this will sound weird, but stay with me here. A few years ago, I got diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. Depressives type. It kind of came later in life, so when the symptoms hit, I was working full-time and had a decent job. After it started getting worse, I ended up losing my job, and now I'm in the process of going for disability. It's not where I wanted to go in life, but I'm trying my best, and it's been hard. Trying to find the right medication is, very difficult, but I found ones that are working wonders, and my hallucinations have been down a lot. Things were starting to look up. So, my wife Cathy, 33 female, has been really supportive and is basically supporting me financially. It's one of the hardest things about going through this, to be honest. Having to live like a deadbeat husband and having my wife work extra hard for the both of us. Her family has been less than thrilled, and I can't really blame them. I'm still cordial with them, but it's lots of tension in the air. A few months ago, Cathy's sister, Sue, left her husband and came to live with us along with her baby. Can't say I'm happy with the new people in the house, but I understood and tried to be accommodating. Well, at least for a while. Things were good between Sue and I. She's always been a little nervous with me ever since my diagnosis. When it first came out, she immediately sent a text to my wife, saying she didn't trust me around her kid for babysitting anymore. But she had seemed to lighten up and everything seemed okay. It started last month, where every time I walked past Sue when we were alone, I'd hear her whisper stuff I couldn't make out. I'd asked her if she said anything, and she'd always say no, so I assumed I was just hearing stuff. Or maybe it was my audio hallucinations. But it started to happen more often, like every darn time I was near her. Sometimes we'd be watching a show, and I'd hear whispering come from her. But I never could get a good look at her mouth to see if it was her or not. She'd either be turning away or just in front of me. The whispers started getting louder, and I could actually make out what they were saying. Stuff like, "Kill them all. I know you want to." Which really started to worry me. My hallucinations always been kind of rough, but they always just seemed to focus on me. Stuff like, "I hate you. You're a failure." Never the other stuff around, so I was worried they were getting worse on me. Then I started hearing voices from the other rooms. Sounded like someone was talking through the rooms, and anytime I'd ask Sue if she heard anything, she'd claim not to. The weird thing is, my audio hallucinations are different from what I was hearing. My hallucinations have always sounded female, where the voice from the other room has been male. My voice also sounds like they're whispering right next to my ear, while these sounded like they're taking places somewhere else. The weirdest part was that the voices said it just sounded a lot like a meme from 4chan. Apparently, there's like a whole group of people who like to mess with schizophrenic people in forums and online, sending them messages and saying that they're hiding in their walls. And that's exactly what I was hearing in the other room. I started searching for the source of the voices around the house. But Sue got scared and started to tell my wife I was going crazy. I know it looked bad, but my hallucinations sound and say different things, so I was making sure it wasn't something else. Today, things got worse. My medication ended up being missing. Like, I kept it in the kitchen at night, but the bottle was gone in the morning. When I asked Sue if she saw my medication, she got really scared and hid in her room with the baby. Her mom and dad came over, and they weren't necessarily hostile with me, but they blocked my way and took Sue to their house for the day. They called up my wife and told them I've been harassing her and, quote, going crazy at Sue. They feared for Sue and her baby with the schizo around. I really think Sue's messing with me. I've had trouble taking my medications in the past when my symptoms were at the worst. But I really like this medicine. I was on it, and I'm just nervous about waiting a few days for more of it. The problem is, I really could be hallucinating everything. Yeah, it's different from my other hallucinations I've had in the past, but hallucinations can change with time. And if I was becoming delusional again, not like I'd really know it either. I really don't want to be scaring Sue, but it just doesn't seem right. None of this stuff happens when my wife got back home from work, only when it's just me and Sue at home. I didn't think she'd be capable of doing stuff like this, but everything about this just feels wrong. I'm not sure how my wife's feeling about this. I haven't had a chance to talk to her in the depth about it. And what little we did get to talk about, I couldn't really tell how she was feeling about everything. She's my biggest cheerleader and supporter through all of this. But her family's saying my symptoms are targeting her sister and nephew now. So I'm not sure what's going through her mind. I just don't know what to do. Ever since this started happening, my symptoms have made comebacks, so I made my usual hallucinations from the stress of everything. I don't want to be a monster. I was thinking of maybe getting myself into a psych ward, but I just have this feeling that this is just Sue ducking with me. My delusions and hallucinations have always been spirit-related, not targeting anyone specifically. And if Sue that is doing this, if it's her, why in the world would she be messing with me like this if she's truly believed I was dangerous? What should I do? What's up, everybody? So this is a pretty intense story, and I don't know, I haven't read the update either. I'm just really hoping Sue is not messing with this poor guy. Could you imagine all the crap that he has to go through with his mental health? And if Sue's doing this, she might have a running for one of the most toxic characters we've read this week. Alright, let's go ahead and see what's going on with this update. First things first, I was able to get my medication in about 2 days, so I wasn't without my antipsychotics for too long, thankfully. When my wife got home, we had a talk about what's been happening. I talked to her about Sue when I was alone with her, and even let her read over my previous post. My wife is a rock star, and she took everything I said well. We acknowledged the fact that it could still be hallucinations because we didn't have proof. But my wife had her suspicions of Sue and told me that it's not outside the realm of something Sue would do. My wife told me Sue had talked to her earlier this week and told her that I've not been taking my pills. My wife was confused by this because I tend to take the pills in front of my wife. She had assured Sue that I have been taking my pills and thought it was just Sue being extra paranoid. We went and searched for the pills one last time, but they were gone. Well, we decided to not have Sue back over anymore. My wife did not like the idea of her sister and nephew homeless, but she took it to heart about what was said on the post and decided it was for the best with everyone involved. I've been making good progress for a while, and she did not want it to go away with Sue around. Of course, when she called up her family to tell them, they were so mad. Her parents started screaming at her for choosing her husband over family. And later, her sister called her crying about how they were going to be homeless soon because the parents weren't going to let her stay there for much longer. It hurt seeing my wife being caught up in this mess, and I'm not gonna lie, I almost relented about Sue staying with us. But my wife assured me that this was the right decision. So, everything was quiet for a few days. I didn't have any of the new audio hallucinations with Sue around. Let me tell you, it was a relief. I can't say I was totally fine. Some of my old delusions were making a comeback, mostly spirits and hauntings, but I felt more relaxed at home, and was feeling good with her finally gone. I took the time to call up my doctor, and we had an emergency appointment which made me feel better moving forward. So, this happened about 3 days ago. My wife's family waited for my wife to go to work and came over to our place. The first thing I noticed was they actually brought a moving van. I don't know if their plan was to move me out or move out Sue's junk, I don't know. But they were there, moving van right in my front yard. I texted my wife to let her know what's going on, then answered the door. By the way, I did not let them in. So, basically, the dad comes up to me super aggressive, tells me that, quote, "As a family, they've decided I was too unstable to live at home anymore, and to pack my crap up, we're having you committed." I told them straight up that crap's not happening, and I wasn't going to go anywhere with them. The mom went on a rant about how I was unstable and they weren't going to leave their nephew with someone dangerous. I told them that Sue wasn't staying here, so there's nothing to worry about. The mom tried to switch it up and sweet-talk me, saying that with my mental health on the decline, they were just too worried about me and were going to take me to the hospital for my own good. Even said afterwards that I could live with my family until nephew gets a little older. Not even after I get better, just until the nephew gets older. I told them again, this is my house. I wasn't going anywhere. Sue was never staying over again, and they needed to leave my house before I called the police on them. Guys, they laughed, which made me extremely upset, as you can imagine. And yes, honestly, I should have called the cops, but between having schizoaffective disorder and me being a black man in an argument against an old white couple, I didn't like those odds of me ending up being the one not getting arrested. I did text my wife that her family was trying to have to get me to go to an inpatient care, which made her leave work right away. So, to shorten this up, we had a screaming match and it basically boiled down to this. If I did not agree to move out for the safety of Sue and her kid, they would call up my landlord, let them know about my serious condition and what type of danger I was to live there. They also implied that they were ready to have me involuntarily committed, with all the other crazies, if I fought them on this anymore, and it was better to go with them now so that I would have been taken to one of the good places. Backstory here, when I got diagnosed with my disorder, my brother let me move into the house that I currently stay at today. We pay rent, but rent's at a good rate because he wanted to make sure I had a good place to stay. We've told her parents this before, multiple times even, but I guess they forgot this one little detail. So I just straight up told them, my brother's my landlord. If I go, Sue still would not live here. Ever. If I go to inpatient, she is not going to live here. Do you understand? Well, the situation will never end with her living at the house. That shut them up. Dead silent, crickets in the air. They looked at me like I just killed their dog. They tried to say a few more things about it, but at this point, it just kind of fizzled out anticlimactically. Sue and her parents left promptly afterwards. My wife came home not too long after the family left, and she was mad. Like, my wife is a 5'4" tiny woman, but boy, she was mad as heck about what happened. Especially going behind her back to do this. Cue more calls, more fighting with her family. She stood by me, told them to stay the hell away from me, and I just greatly appreciate it. I just know it's killing her on the inside about not being able to see her nephew anymore. Before this happened, her family was supportive of her and very close. So it just blows my mind that the situation turned into this. Well, she's going no contact with him for now. So that's where we're at. Not doing the best mental-wise, to be honest, and might end up in inpatient care anyways if things just go this way. I keep getting paranoid that they're going to take me away somehow, but I'm trying to remain calm with everything. Like I said, none of those new hallucinations when Sue was around, but with the stress of everything, I feel like I'm constantly surrounded, and I'm going to be taken at any moment. I've talked to my doctor again, and we have a plan in place, but I really don't want to end up in inpatient care if I can avoid it. Makes it worse knowing my wife will just be left alone without support. Which makes me the most mad about this entire situation. Anyways, thanks everybody for the advice. I really just appreciate all of y'all. Okay guys, so that was a difficult story to read. It just seems like OP was suffering through stuff that was just completely out of his hand. I do think that maybe racism was involved in this a little bit, and a couple commenters do too. One of the commenters was saying, I was coming on here to say thank goodness he has his wife. Like, these in-laws are truly insane. Having a mental illness is hard, but he has a great support system with his wife and brother. I hope he doesn't have to go into an inpatient facility, and that they'll leave him all alone. Well, he's trying and succeeding until his sister-in-law moved in. What a poor guy. And then another comment says this. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me to find out the family's just full of racists, and have been waiting for this, quote, opportunity for a while now. And then the final comment says, yeah, evil's evil. I had people gaslight me at work, and I broke and resigned from a job that I had for 12 years, because I thought someone was going to shoot me. Well, things are much better now that my mental health is in order, but I cried when I read what happened to this gentleman. Guys, let me know if you have any advice that you would drop for OP in the comment section, and we'll go ahead and look at our second story of the day. The title is, Am I the a-hole for ruining my sister-in-law's honeymoon by exposing her racism? Alright guys, story number 2 is coming up. I'm 27 female, and my sister-in-law is 30, got married last weekend. She's my long-term boyfriend's sister. They're white and I'm Middle Eastern, and a dark one with raven black hair. She was looking for a photographer that did not bankrupt her, so I suggested a friend of mine who's new in the business, and charged less than half, because these things cost about $5,000 these days. She was excited, and I set a group chat with her and my photographer friend. We talked a little, and later they met, and they started messaging directly. The wedding was amazing, and everything went smoothly. I was one of the guests, and she seemed happy. The next day, they went off on their honeymoon. I don't know if it was by mistake, but instead of texting the photographer directly like she's done for the past few months, she texted him to our old iMessage chat. She thanked him but had a favor to ask him and wondered whether he could just retouch some asymmetry in the flower's archway. I'm sorry, I don't know the right term, but also if he could take me off some photos because I'm simply too dark and ruin the color palette. Not all pictures, just the one she's in. I texted back, are you kidding me? I can see this. Well, guys, she didn't answer. I took a screenshot and posted it on my Insta story tagging her in it. She called my boyfriend crying her little eyes out, calling me an a-hole for embarrassing her and ruining her honeymoon. The boyfriend did think it was a low blow. I was blinded with rage, though, when I did it. But even now I'm calm. I still don't feel that I was the a-hole. But there have been people contacting her, apparently asking if she really wrote this. She's so beautiful and successful, so please don't blame it on jealousy or scare of being outshined. Okay guys, Mr. Redito here, so there is an update for this story, and yeah, it's as bad as it sounds. Let's go ahead and jump right into that update. Number 1. Sister-in-law is still on her honeymoon, so I haven't talked to her yet, but she's bombarding my boyfriend demanding that I apologize. Make a new Insta story with my apology tagged attached. More people got involved, including my boyfriend's mother, that thought I was so out of line, ruining her daughter's wedding day. I've also got contacted by my sister-in-law's friends. Some of them told me stories about what she's been talking about me behind my back. Yeah, she's got what she deserved, all right. The amount of her friends that weren't surprised at all with her text made it clear for me that I wasn't wrong at all. My sister-in-law is self-employed with some foreign customers. That's why she's taking it so hard. She's scared that this would affect her career. I don't feel like I need to save her career should something bad happen to it. Number 2. My photographer friend did what he was told. That's the only right way, in my opinion, being professional and not to confuse work with his own values. He asked me if I wanted him to say something, and I said no. I also asked him not to tell me when they're texting since she's his client, so he should not break confidentiality. He's just starting his career and he'll meet way worse bridezillas, I'm sure of that. She was at least nice to him throughout their interaction. And number 3, now to my boyfriend. As I said, he thought this whole thing was uncomfortable. I told him if he wanted to be with me, he needs to discuss uncomfortable topics. He opened up, and it was actually deeper than this. This has happened before. His uncle's very rich, and for his 60th birthday, he had a giant party. As a thank you, we received thank you cards with our pictures on it professionally taken. Well, I remember this picture because his uncle had a red carpet moment when guests were photographed upon their arrival. Later, we went to my boyfriend's mother to see the rest of the photos. Yeah, I wasn't in any of them. I thought it was funny how I literally evaded being caught on camera. I never mentioned this or even reflected on it. And while my boyfriend and his family were looking at the pictures and discussing the evening, it was just so normal, and no one mentioned something out of the ordinary. Today, he told me that I was photoshopped off the pictures. Everyone in his family knew it but me. At the time, they just thought the uncle could choose whoever he wanted to have in his pictures, and they all moved on. So, to me, the worst part of this entire story is the fact that the boyfriend of OP, well, he knew the reason, and he also knew the fact that she was in fact photoshopped out of the pictures, and I just think that's deceitful, a red flag. I mean, we're talking about his significant other, who he's just hiding this blatant racism from. Let me know your thoughts, guys. If you found out this information that your boyfriend or your girlfriend actually knew this whole time, and why they didn't tell you is beyond me. But I want to hear from you guys. Drop your opinions down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and take a second and click that subscribe button if you do want to help support. And just know, I'm here every single day narrating stories, so if that's something you're into, come stop by. Guys, have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.